people. They're going to put an orange top on there, and then they're going to slide this off and put an orange cap on there. So when you see this tomorrow,
chest fail.
You do need to fix that. When we see this tomorrow, there should be just like that with mud inside of it. Tomorrow we're going to come in, we're going to get our meter stick wherever it is. We're going to measure how much mud we've got. We'll take pictures of it, see if there's any light and dark lines and things. That'll be the first thing we do, is just go up and down the core, measure how much mud there is. We'll talk about the colors that we see in there. That'll tell us something about rate of sedimentation. Then, like I said, we're going to take the bottom and the top off. Then we're going to put a little pusher in there, and then we're going to push it up, and we're going to cut it off, a centimeter at a time. Okay? And then each one of those is going to be your sample. So the big thing we got to do is we got to look at how much mud we get, figure out how long it is. If it's $50 centimeters long, that's 50 samples you've got to do. That's a lot, right? So we want to look at how much it is, then we want to figure out how much time we've got left in the class, and how thick we cut these is going to be partially determined by how much effort we want to put into it and work. Okay? This paper right here, the one that I had queued up, to give you some perspective on that. Okay, this lake, or this fossil lake, it's not a lake anymore, it's actually a quarry now. But where this quarry is, used to be a lake. Okay, so this is a place in Japan. And that's the lens cap off of my camera. See all those little lines in those sediments? Each one of those lines represents 1 year in the history of that lake. So it was a really neat kind of lake that we call a horror sample lake. There's 800,000 of those lines. I could get an annual record of the history of that lake every year for 800,000 years. Nobody's ever done that. Why? Because it takes about 6 hours to analyze each sample. So think about what 800,000 times 6. That's a long time, right? You could hire more people to do more than one sample at a time, but let's do the math on that. How much do you think you should pay a person? We won't worry about people. Let's just worry about cost. How much do you think you should pay a person that knows how to analyze that? How much per hour would be good? $15 an hour? That's fair.
25.
Vlad thinks that sounds really good. Well, let's go with 15. So 15 times 6. Oops. 15 times 6 times 800. 1, 2, 3. It would only cost you $72 million to analyze. Is that worth $72 million? Now, it's going to be a hard argument to make. Give me $72 million to do that. Okay? But that's what it would cost to pay somebody to analyze all that. Well, but it doesn't matter. If you hire 100 people, they're all going to make $15 an hour. So you can get it done quicker, but it's still going to cost you $72 million.
Also, this might be out of subject, but I noticed yesterday when we had our samples from Little Rock, and what's the other name?
Pleasant?
Pleasant Lake. That, like, I think it's messed up. But, like, on the top, because you had them upside down, that the water from Little Rock was slightly cleaner, and all the stuff was on top.
Yeah, it separated out, so it was running out of air. So all those algae that used to be distributed through were trying to float up to get the atmosphere. So it cleaned up a little bit because all the algae floated up. Yeah, the stuff in Little Rock, or in Pleasant, was much more distributed through it, but that's exactly what happened. So you weren't seeing things at all. Does that make sense? So when we measure this, we've got to figure out how many samples we're going to want to deal with. Okay? Realistically, 20, 25 samples is plenty. Does that make sense? So we'll look at this, we'll figure out the length, then we'll figure out how we have to cut it, and it may be that we cut them into equal size samples, depending upon what the colors are, or where the transitions are. We may sample a little bigger or deeper. That's a big discussion we have to have tomorrow, in between when we watch this movie or whatever. Okay? Anybody else got any other questions?